Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, give me a second to settle in. I'm setting up my iPad so that I can actually read your comments because when I go into full screen mode to share art, I won't be able to see it. Okay, we're live. I see it. Boom. All right, what is up, everyone? It'll take a second for people to file in. We're a little late, or I'm a little late. I've not talked to Kelsey this week at all, so I have no idea what he's up to. I hope he's okay. That would be the first thing. Is I just think he's working, so I'm not going to jump from A to Z in terms of his condition. I did send him a link, and I may actually text him while we're doing this. But yeah, sorry it's a little late. I ran to do some Christmas shopping really fast this morning, and dude, it was so slow. It was, oh my God, it was painfully slow. So anyway, let's see. We've got 6 people in the chat. What is up, everyone? Happy holidays. We are heading into Christmas in 2 days. Two days. I've been working a lot. I'm going to talk about that. You know, we always do like a little preamble early in the video and talk about kind of the week. So I can actually, okay, we're starting to get chats. Yeah, I mean, I just think Kelsey is busy. What is up, Brain, Hans, Sheldon, and Christopher? Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I just, like I said, my only thing is just I hope that Kelsey is okay. He should know that he can always just text me and say, hey, I can't make it this week. So it's no big deal. I just didn't hear from him, so I don't know what's going on, which again, you just hope that nothing bad is up. But I don't think it is. All right, so I thought what I would do is talk about my week, and talk about actually the evolution of going from an inker to penciler. It's been very, very interesting and quite challenging, but challenging in ways that I didn't expect. So I can clarify it by saying that what I mean by challenging is, look, drawing just in general from a script is challenging. But when I was going into Blaster Kid is my own thing. And so I didn't write it in terms of like, oh, this is something that I can draw good, or this is something that I can, would have more challenge with. But I think any artist, you would go like, that would be a hard book for me to draw, or that might not be a book that I would normally want to do. I always used 100 Bullets as an example, in as much as that I really like Eduardo Rizzo's work. But I think on paper, my strengths as an artist wouldn't lend itself to something like 100 Bullets. So it's interesting doing the job for heavy metal because it's calling on me to, yeah, no worries, Sheldon. If you got to split, you got to split. It's no big deal. This video will be up, but I felt because we were so close to the holidays that it would be a shame to not do at least hey, what's up, happy holidays, thank you guys for an amazing year, which I truly do mean. COVID has been hard, I think, for many people, but overall I've actually kind of flourished in the environment in a way. But anyway, so back to what I was talking about, the heavy metal thing. The heavy metal story is making me flex muscles that I wouldn't have had to flex on Blaster Kid, and so it feels very exposed, to be quite honest, because it's like there's a lot of really exciting fantasy, sci-fi, gritty superhero stuff. No, I can't, not yet. Sorry, brain. They're launching it. It's a big deal because of who I'm working with and the companies involved. I'm not just saying that; it actually is. It's like they're orchestrating this whole thing, and yeah, they're not showing. January 11th is the thing. I would love to, honestly. You guys kind of know, if you've been on my Patreon for a long time, when I was working on the Megadeth story, I actually did leak all the pages before it actually appeared in that book. This is more. It's a little more. I don't want to risk anything, so I can't show it. It'll be cool. And by the 11th, I should be done with the first book. It's 150 pages, though. They stretched it out. It was supposed to be, I thought, 120. Now they're telling me 150. That is a lot of fucking work. Like, a lot of work on top of doing Blaster Kid. But it's a 3-month schedule per issue. But yeah, that was like, I was like, 150 pages. I don't remember that being in the the thing. But look, I look at it like this. This is a really, really good opportunity for me to be challenged, and you just don't grow without challenging yourself. So the thing is anything that I'm learning doing this job is just going to make Blaster Kid that much better. And my goal is to launch Blaster Kid probably 2 to 3 weeks into January. I need to talk to my accountant. What is up, Andrew Taz? Longtime follower. Andrew Taz, didn't you used to have a Gibson headstock avatar? Am I wrong with that? Was that you? You used to have the open book headstock was your avatar. You let me know if that's the case. You can see right behind me. There's a Flying V, there's a Strat, and there's a Les Paul sitting right near that TV. That TV literally has not been on. Yeah, I prefer Grecos. Honestly, I have a Les Paul right here. I have so many guitars in my office. This is a Greco, 1974, made in Japan. This thing is the shit. This is such a good guitar. Play this thing whenever I can. But anyway, all right, so let's get to comics and art. But yeah, so anyway, let me chambered Les Pauls are literally a sacrilege. You realize they've been doing that for a long time though, right? They've been chambering Les Pauls forever. Like the customs have been chambered for years. It's just one of those things. I don't have any chambered Les Pauls, to be clear. Swiss cheese holes, right? What was I going to say? Oh yeah. But here's the deal. What's really, really interesting is when you really start to challenge yourself as like a penciler and you're doing a lot of stuff, man, it makes comic books like actually looking at comic books a new experience. It's really, really fun. I didn't realize actually how much fun that part of it was going to be, but I broke out some. Yeah, I'm gonna do a guitar channel I think next year. It's funny because wait till you hear who I'm working with. He's a really, really good guitarist. But yeah, like it's crazy. So I didn't realize how fun it is to look at comic books when you're penciling comics. I mean, literally, I was looking at Adam Hughes, Betty and Veronica, like the last couple of nights. Dude, it's so good. His ideas are so clever and his shots are so cool to look at. And then I was checking out some of his ghost work, and the ghost work was great too. All right, my camera's doing that thing again. I don't understand why it fucking does this. I don't know. There's no autofocus. Well, I mean, there's an autofocus on this camera, but I apologize that I'm out of focus. I don't know why it does it, and it could just be my preview because it doesn't look super blurry on my iPad. But yes, I was checking out Ghost this morning, and then it led me to realizing that the Ghost stuff in particular had a very, very similar vibe to God, it's so annoying that the screen gets blurry. Stelfreeze. There's a heavy, heavy Stelfreeze vibe in Adam's Ghost work, which started making me think of Jason Pearson. So I was looking at body bags, and again, you can really see the impact that their relationship with Brian Stelfreeze had on their work. I don't think it's a coincidence how graphic their work is. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at body bags and check out Jason Pearson's stuff. I have done other videos on Jason Pearson, and it is possible that we've even looked at these comics, but I'm looking at them with fresh eyes now. Reborn eyes, you might say. It's a Christmas miracle. It is, though, actually. I can't believe I'm drawing. I wish that I was how would I put it? It's interesting because it's like every page you go, oh man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. But then each new page that you start, you have an opportunity to sort of like add to your ideas. So it's really fun. It's almost like as I'm doing each page and finishing it, I kind of go, oh man, like I need to bring in more of this, or I should try this or do that. So it's been really, really cool. You've been looking through the what, the steampunk work or Catwoman? Yeah, I know. Now my camera is clear on my end. Like I'm looking at the screen, it's totally clear right now. Yeah. I don't know what it does, like what it's trying to focus in on. Yeah, the steampunk stuff is really, really good. There's definitely times where I revisit it myself. I generally can kind of tell instinctually what I should be looking at. So yeah, it is clear now. I know I can tell. Um, yeah, I just kind of go on instinct. To be 100% honest, I'm very uncalculated with anything that I do. And what I found is if the wind starts to blow me a certain direction, I just go with it. If It's a mood filter, right, right, right. Oh man, sometimes I see images of people online and they've like put filters on themselves. It looks ridiculous. Um, this is me all natural with my Every Time I Die shirt. Anyone know the band? Um, but yeah, so like if I'm drawing and all of a sudden Adam Hughes pops into my head, then I'll check out Adam Hughes. If I see J. Scott Campbell in my work, I'll check out J. Scott Campbell and kind of like see like how they're solving problems in that genre, you know. So it's interesting. But all right, let's get to the Jason Pearson body bags. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go into my application window and let's do this. All right, I'm going to go full screen mode and we're just going to look through these two issues. These came out in I think 2012, I think. We'll see the cover in a little bit. So Jason is cartoony, but you can really tell that this guy knows how to draw. I've never ever doubted that just because he puts a little bit of a cartoony spin on his work, this guy isn't a superior badass with drawing. Man, this morning some of the stuff I was looking at was really, really incredible. So yeah, let's get into this and see more. Oh, thank you, Sheldon. Oh man, I really, really appreciate it. Yeah, so Sheldon says, didn't have time to get you a card, LOL. Just kidding. Thanks for these shows from you and Kelsey. Always a good time. All right, I'm out. All right, Sheldon, you have a nice day. Thank you so much and happy holidays to you. All right. So it was funny as I was looking at this morning. In fact, this is a pretty simple city scene for Jason, all things considered. He does stuff that's much more elaborate. I mean, you can definitely see in his work a Michael Golden influence. This page, not so much. This is more, this looks like a little bit of a jobber job page. I love that term. Kelsey said that to me, and I think it's a fantastic term for some of the work that you do as a comic book artist. It's a really, really fascinating career. I swear to God, I said this years ago and I didn't realize how profound of a thing it was, but it's very rare. Kelsey, I said this to Kelsey, and Kelsey actually is in a similar boat. It's very rare in comics that you get a second chance to go through the whole cycle of breaking in, the growing pains of those first couple of years. You start to get good, you start to build like a fan base, and I'm gonna experience that again with penciling, which is really, really incredible. And it kind of does put a brand new spin on just about everything that I do, the way that I think about things. It's like it really was an opportunity for me to hit reset and just, you know, it's like, do I want to use a Hunt 102? Maybe my style isn't a Hunt 102. You know, maybe I'm going to use some other tool. You know, maybe I'm going to do it all digital. Maybe I'm going to, you know, be real cartoony. There's no limits and there's no rule book. Oh, wow. Thank you. Oh, no problem, Christopher. This will be up for a little while. So Christopher John says, unfortunately, I have to go as well. Love the show. Happy holidays, everyone. Really, thank you very much, Christopher. I really appreciate it. It's been a great year. I'm telling you, next year is going to be even better. It was, the last few months were just complicated because I was basically getting out of inking. It made it very, very difficult for me to just pull stuff off. You know, you're tight on money, you're tight on time. You know, DC was amazing for me the whole time that I was there. They always were totally cool with me and gave me great gigs, but it was time to try something new. And so you know, that transition is very, very difficult. Believe me, there's a lot of people that are working in comic books that would like to make the switch and do, you know, the next phase of their career. It's not so easy to do. I keep telling myself I'm going to take a journal, keep a journal, and I haven't done it yet, but I really think that now is the time, because I think one, it would be, hold on, I'll read your comment in one section, Brain. It's really, really tough to switch careers in art and find the time to do it. Once you're kind of on the hamster wheel, it's like, man, you really, really have to sacrifice and honestly go backwards too. People know that I basically I just start from scratch. I really did. I had some natural ability, but I had so many bad habits that I was really in a bad spot. So I just had to basically relearn to draw, and then just know that there were some natural things that I would be able to do a little quicker. So Brain Game says, is it hard to plan where the text bubbles go when you're drawing? I never see them factored in when planning a page. So that's an interesting question. So for the heavy metal story, once we got through the first action sequence, there's a series of sort of establishing things. You're starting to meet the characters, you're starting to know part of the story, and there's a lot of panels and there's a lot of dialogue, and it is one of those things where you have to be real careful. You fill a panel full of cool art and no room to put a word balloon, you're going to run into some problems. Hey, what is up, Kulo Demandril? I think I might have said that right. Kulo Demandril. But yeah, you really do need to plan it. Kelsey actually will go in and he places word balloons on his layouts. So that's one way that you can do it. I don't do that. Every few days, I have an opportunity to sort of add more proper approaches to what I'm doing. They said, I think working for heavy metal is creating discipline in me. Blaster Kid is like my playground that I'm going to get a run around in and just kind of go nuts. But the heavy metal job is actually really, it's almost like being a studio musician and you've learned to play guitar and you've got like a rock band or a heavy metal band or whatever kind of music you're into, and you get hired to do something that's similar but different. So it's making me flex muscles that I didn't normally have. It's crazy. It's so fun. I always wanted to get better. I remember that when I broke in at Wildstorm and I was just starting to ink, every day I would go home and I would be like, fuck, I want to get better. I want to improve. This is like the first like 6 months to year that I was there. And I knew that every day that I walked into that office, the next morning, I had an opportunity to push myself harder. And it was just a self-motivated thing. It wasn't so much, I never, honestly, I said this to, who was I talking to? I've never felt in competition with other artists. Oh, it was during the David Finch interview. I've never been jealous of other artists, and I've never felt in competition with other artists. The competition for me is what I think that I'm capable of and where I'm at. And what I think I'm capable of sets the bar. It's not about other people and their work. I enjoy their work. It's great when you see people that are really good, but that's not what drives me. What drives me is me being satisfied with what I produce. What's up, All Gold Productions? How are you? Thanks for sticking with my channel for as long as you have. Oh, okay, yeah, I love that Savage Dragon mini series. That's a nice page to have, I'm sure. So, let's focus on the art now while we're here. So you'll see he does very, very graphic blacks on things, but he actually indicates them in a very smart way. Let me lighten this just a little bit so we can see it a little more. It's a little dark scan, but if we pull it a little bright, you can see like how he renders this guy's like skin or his flesh. There'll be better pages probably to do examples of, but let me see. Yeah, that'll work. But yeah, like he's got like, you see the muscles coming through here like this, And then he's got this core shadow that sort of sits in the middle of things. You see, it's in the middle of the body. It's in the middle of this, like the muscles. It's separating things, but it's also framing things. He does it a lot. It's pretty clever how he does it. Like her hair, generally speaking, he'll do the top of her hair will be black, and then he brings it down. And it's kind of a rule book that he sticks to with her. And it makes it where he can get through things efficiently. You see, the top of her hair is black, and then this is black. Top of her hair is black, and then this is black. And it's just, when you have so many drawings to do in a book, you have to figure out ways to efficiently do it, or you're never going to get done with stuff. Right. Yeah, the problem, brain, with that now is that you know, no one, studios are very rare, at least for comic book artists. It's there may be a few groups that get together and actually draw, but I think in general now it's like we're more of a virtual studio, which is good too. I think things like, well, it is different though, because the global studio idea, meaning just anybody that you follow on Instagram could be considered a peer. Um, it's just, you're seeing so much different stuff. It can be a little confusing. What I found working in studio, I love this lady's dress. I thought this was really, really cool. And the way that he lit the front of it is very, very kick-ass. He's got these nice creases here. Yeah, like there's a little bit of a hive mind that you get when you work in a studio. It was interesting, because we'll definitely circle back to Gaijin Studio, because I was curious of what Kelsey's experience at Gaijin was like, because Jason Pearson, Adam Hughes, Brian Stelfreeze, Carl Story, Dave Johnson, Jason Martin, Cully Hamner, they were all kind of part of the original version. I may be forgetting someone, but yeah, there was a hive mind a little bit where they were feeding off of each other's ideas and the quality of the work, and it was definitely propelling these guys to, one, each do their own individual style, but there were some similarities with their work, and then they all got really, really good, like really good. Let me come out of full screen for a second. I want to just see for a sec if Kelsey is in the chat room. Oh, oh no, okay, it's my screen. Sorry. Okay, let me go back to sharing my screen. Or hold on, I'm gonna go back into it. I just wanted to see if Kelsey was in the waiting room. Okay, here we go. Going back in. Yeah, you like when artists use guns reference for their work. That panel with the gun with Panda looks so much more effective than faking it. Yeah, I agree. And Jason does really, really good guns. In fact, it was funny, in one of the issues I was looking at this morning, he did a little bit of an arm, like a Punisher armory kind of thing, where it was a shot of a kind of a machine gun pointing out a window, and he wrote down like the name of the gun and its characteristics. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I really, really like this stuff. It's funny. I think it's just very, very efficient and effective art. It's interesting too, is I haven't really seen people doing a lot of this brushy rendering as much anymore. It's definitely something that's sort of it seems a little bit like a lost technique where it's pure brush. You know what I mean? I think now what you would see is you would see people blasting it with some sort of a hatch or splatter and things like that, which are all very, very cool. But yeah, it's like there's a quality to this. It's interesting too, is if you look at the later collection that they did called three of a, I can't remember what it was called, something three. His first story he did digitally. I believe it was done digitally, and it really does have a different vibe. It's still really good. In fact, I think parts of it are better, but I think there's parts of it that aren't as good as his traditional work. You can see where the tools took away techniques that he would have normally done traditionally. Some of the feathering that he was doing in Panda's hair, like all of a sudden just completely vanished. It was trippy to see it kind of change like that. Here's a really cool shot. I noticed too in the body bag stuff that I was looking at this morning that there were a lot of panels. This is a 5-panel page, but it wasn't uncommon for him to have 7 and 10 panel pages in the story that I was looking at. I thought these cars were great too. That's a brighter red. Yeah. This is nice. I love the reverse silhouette where it's just an outline. You're giving the colorist, though, a big responsibility. This looks nice, but I don't know if I would have expected green and pink buildings. Obviously, Jason to have more control over it. I don't remember who colored these stories. Yeah, I don't remember. This is a nice gun, too. I remember when I was sharing an office with Adam Hughes, I've told this story before, but he needed to draw a meter, like a car meter, parking meter. And boy, I'll tell you what, he was determined to find one in person and to take photos of it for reference. So I would assume that that maybe was a little bit of the Gaijin way, is like you'd get your balls busted if you faked stuff. Let's see here. So, oh, the colors were Jason. Okay. And inkiness is Jason Martin. Jason Martin's a real good inker. He ended up working on Battle Chasers with Joe for a little bit. All right, we're going to do one more issue, and then I'm going to call it because I need to get to work. So I had told Kelsey that this would be a shorter stream today. So I kind of got to stick to that because I need to finish a page. This is cool. I like the way that he draws her jeans. Real fun silhouettes, big chunky folds. It looks good. So this is Father's Day. I'm trying to remember what year this came out. Well, we can look at it in grayscale. I can kind of pull out some of the thing. It's, on some scans, it's pretty easy to remove the gray. Others, not so much. I can level it a little to get a little darker, and then we'll zoom out. Oops, sorry. Can at least get a feel for what it might have looked like. Man, Jason's black and white original art looks so killer. I remember seeing it sometimes at comic book conventions. They're really, really nicely designed pages. He really knows how to move the eye. You think Battle Chasers will finish one day? I kind of don't. I don't. I doubt it. I was hopeful for a long time, but I just don't. I think that Joe has just moved on. It wouldn't be that hard. That's the thing is it really wouldn't be that hard for him to do it. But when you take such a long break from something, I think it's very, very difficult to go back. It's just there's no momentum, and the amount of effort that it takes to create the momentum is harder than actually doing it. If he drew Battle Chasers for 2 weeks, he could probably whip out, you know, a decent story in a few months. It's just getting that ball rolling, man. It's the hard part. I'm telling you, I've said this in many, many videos, and when I talk about drawing right now, every day when I start drawing, I kind of am nervous at first because I'm so used to going into it with a lack of momentum, and because now I've been drawing every day, I actually have momentum. You don't lose as much, you know. When I come back to drawing, and it's like I've only not been drawing for like 10 hours, you know. I went to sleep and woke up, and then I'm back at it. If I took 2 months off, it's so much harder to get going. Yeah, his big arms and characters are so great. Okay, so this was 1997 for Father's Day. I love this drawing of her. She's so cute. That's really good. Oh, yeah, I remember seeing this morning. This is so classic Jason, man. The pants and that he does a rendering thing. I'll show it to you right here. It's real funny, or not funny, but it's the double feather where you have black in the middle and then you feather on both sides. It's a really, really cool effect. You don't see it too much anymore. Again, it was funny as this style was sort of getting phased out by the Scott Williams Jim Lee thing when I broke in. I think this was probably a more common way to render things in the like late 80s and early 90s. But the thing is you had this other surge, which was in the late 80s and early 90s, was the image boom. And this ended up looking a little bit more, it had a little bit more of a classic feel, even though this is very what I would consider cutting edge art for the time. Yeah, routine does have power. I'm telling you, even right now, knowing that I have to sit down and draw today makes me a little tiny bit nervous. But once I get going, then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, like you've drawn this guy now 10 times or 15 times. You're getting used to it, you're working it out. But it is comforting when I look through comic books like this, or when I was looking through the Adam Hughes Ghost stuff, and even some of the Betty and Veronica stuff. I mean, every once in a while, Adam will slip a little bit, and like placement of things will be a little bit off, or the size relationship of something changes, or the amount of space in the room changes. I noticed in Betty and Veronica, there's a scene in a diner, and one of the shots, it really looks like the counter and the booths are like right next to each other. But in another shot on the same page, there's definitely more space. So stuff like that freaks me out when it happens to me, because it's like, you do it and you're like, oh no, like people are going to think I'm an idiot. I worry about clothes a lot now too, because when I have to draw a character, you have to remember what their clothes are. It sounds funny, but you have enough characters to draw. There's a lot of cross-referencing that goes on. This is very, very cool. Such cool anatomy. I've never really in any kind of scenario, I've never really had to draw a character this big. Honestly, I was thinking about that this morning when I was looking at this. I saw this and I was like, I don't think I've never really drawn anyone that big. I never have. I mean, those are just massive arms. This was great. I love this establishing shot right here. So nice. It's really cool. This, you know what? This looks like downtown San Diego. That's crazy. This looks like when you're actually leaving the airport and driving to like the convention center, you would get on the freeway and go this way about 5 minutes. I wonder if he snapped this photo leaving San Diego Airport. That's funny. God, it looks literally just like you. This is the 5 freeways just right up here. I thought this was cool. I wonder if it's in this story. Kelsey, you're missing out on a good show, my friend. He will watch this unless he's dead. If Kelsey's dead, he won't see this video. But if he's not dead, at some point he'll watch this and he'll have regrets, because he would have been able to have very interesting commentary. This was cool too. This is something that like I might think of a close shot like this. I don't know if I would have lit it like that. What's funny is the first thing I did when I saw how dramatic the lighting was on this particular face is I was looking at the other faces to see if the lighting was the same during the scene, because that's something that I consider now. Like if I were to put a real heavy shadow on her face in this panel, then I'm just assuming that the lighting is like that through the whole scene. So there's no lighting on her face here, there's no lighting on her face here, there's no real cast shadows. There's a little bit, you can see that there's light coming from above because she's got the cast shadow just sort of under her neck. I use that a lot just as a separation device for the head and the body. But then on this, when we pull in, it's a dramatic shot, but the lighting is now coming from both sides and giving her a center core shadow. He's naked at the zoo. It could be. Yeah. I'm having growing pains with fabric and clothes and stuff like that right now. I never really thought that I was going to have to draw so much normal clothes, especially right now. It was like sort of like if I always joke about like if there's 150 things that you need to know to draw comics, you can get by if you know like 80 of them, and you're gonna sort of pick up the other 70%, meaning that you can draw well, you understand how to construct things, but you don't know You know, you've never drawn business suits again and again and again, or you've never drawn a character in a trench coat for 15 pages. You know, that stuff is sort of accumulative. So, you know, the more you have to draw crowd scenes, you're like, oh yeah, I've drawn a kid with baggy pants and a ball cap backwards, a little Hellboy cameo. This is probably Dave Johnson, but maybe not. It kind of looks like Dave Johnson. She's cute. I like the way that he actually does the hair. Let's see if we can find an example of hair. Oh, this is cool. Yeah, it was I haven't seen any good examples here. This is nice with the belt and stuff. He always gave this guy really cool pants. He's got those sort of a cholo, like sort of baggy dickies or whatever on. He got better. It's a shame, you know. I was thinking about Jason as I was looking at this stuff and wondering where he's been the last few years, because I know he was definitely in a weird spot maybe 5 or 6 years ago, kind of behaving erratically online a little bit. So hopefully he's doing well. Yeah, there was a lot of Dark Horse cameos. Oh, Ed McGuinness. Yeah, Ed's great. I haven't seen Ed's work in a long time. I think he's working for Marvel now, maybe. But yeah, Ed McGuinness is real good. And he draws big characters. This is wild. This is such a wild shot. Man, it's so beefy. Wow, what is he doing in his jacket? Did he shred his jacket? I guess he shredded his jacket. That's crazy. I'm like... Oh, it's fringe on the sleeve. I was like, what is that? I remember seeing this page this morning and kind of thinking that it was like, it was okay. Like, I think this is good. I think this face kind of gets a little weird, just a little bit. It's not bad, but it's like a little, I don't know. And this too was interesting. So there was a guy named Ben Herrera that was really influenced by this stuff. There was a lot of artists. I think some of the Wildstorm interns, when I was breaking in, Jason Johnson, I think, was a big fan of this stuff. This is cool. Nice, simple page. He moved through it quick. But, you know, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, is that one panel? I guess 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 panels. If you figure an hour a panel, could take a while. The silhouette of the plane was probably a smart move. Dude with the fringe. This is very Mignola, actually. It's funny. That little area right there reminds me a lot of Mignola on, was it Doctor Strange, Doctor Doom, I think? These are pretty chunky inks. Like, that's a thick brush line. So Brain Games asked, if a character has dialogue in a panel, must their mouth be open? A lot of artists don't do that, and some do. You know, it's just an aesthetic. I think you know, it's interesting as a reader of comics and people that collect comics, because we never really get to see the script and what was called for. But yeah, I mean, if you see a comic book and everybody in the comic is always tight-lipped, you know, like this, they're talking in panels, you know, then the artist didn't do a mouth expression. I tend to try to make them look like they're yelling or talking when they're doing it. But you know, I'm feeling it out. I don't have a role model for anything that way, where like I go, oh well, so and so's rule book is this, so I'm gonna do that. I just read the script and I try to make up the best ideas that I can based on what I'm asked to draw, you know. And then, like I said, when I'm not working on the stuff that I'm working on, I try to look at stuff that feels somewhat similar to what I'm up to. You know what I mean? Like if I'm drawing stuff a certain way, I can kind of go like, oh, that reminds me of this artist, so maybe I should see how they're problem solving. And then you just kind of work it out, you know. I think the first 2 or 3 years that you're drawing sequential art on a regular basis, you are going to learn and grow a lot. So, you know, for me, this 150-page book for heavy metal, I think there's going to be a significant difference between the first 50 pages and the last 50 pages. Hopefully, for the better. That's the goal, right? Not that you crash and burn. Oh, yeah. These are tough little sequences. I thought this was really nice. I like the way that he did the plane chairs here. If you look at how he actually crafted the construction of these chairs, it's pretty damn spot on, because it's like you've got the room to put the luggage here. These look like airplane armrests, you know, where it's got a little bit of the electronic device where you can recline a little bit. So his attention to detail on that is actually very nice. It was something that I absolutely 100% noticed and acknowledged is someone who did their homework. So important, man. It's so freaking important. This is great. I love that. She looks very strong, powerful, you know, like that's a really good emotive face. What do I pencil with? Normally I use a 2H or H. It just depends. I kind of bounce back and forth with it. I have a Pentel. It's called a Orenz Nero. That is a really fine, it's like a 0.2 millimeter pencil lead. For Blaster Kid, I'm going to try to use that more. Oh, this car is great too, by the way. But yeah, I mean, and you know, for some stuff, I mean, it's just like, you know, I actually like drawing with a regular pencil, to be honest. Sometimes just like a sharpened pencil. Not so much for what's interesting is because, like, with the heavy metal job, on top of the fact that it's a lot of pages, I'm penciling and inking myself on it. It's a lot of work, man. And to fully pencil type pencils and then ink a page, that's a lot of work. So it's like I'm trying to, it took me weeks to figure out a approach to it, to be honest, because I started getting kind of freaked out, where I was like, dude, if it's taking me X amount of hours to pencil a page and then X amount of hours to ink a page, I mean, this is like, I'm going to be, you know, really, really stretched thin. So I was able to expedite it a bit, but then there's growing pains with that. I really like this. It's nice. I don't have a very bright color to circle that hubcap. It's interesting too, is if you look at the later issues of this book, he actually got way more detailed with the hubcaps on this main car. It looks so badass. That's the three what, I don't remember the exact name of it. Oh, this is a great sequence too. So she's walking through the plane and this guy like grabs her ass, but look at the detail on this like Walkman and her belt buckle, and just like, man, it's so 3D. One thing that I noticed with Adam Hughes, looking at the Ghost stuff and even his early was it Justice League of America work? I think it was Justice League or Legion. Man, he could draw hands good. So much shit to learn. But Jason does good cartoony hands. They're real emotive, and they look nice and solid. I was trying to figure out what this was. Oh, Gaijin, the story. Oh, and it says Hamner. That's funny. Hold on, I'm going to catch up with the chat really quick. It just makes seeing Ethan's process of blue line scribble straight to tight inks even more confuddling. Well, so here's the deal with that, because I've seen a lot of people talk about Travis, and you could use someone like Ethan as an example too. Just anyone that's been drawing comics for a long time. You can construct figures. I mean, if you saw me do the example of where I was talking about how I set up figures in perspective, and it's like, I mean, I started with the hips and drew a character in a 3-point perspective room or 2-point perspective room. It's not that weird to be able to skip steps once you've done it for a while. I mean, Ethan, as an example, has probably drawn a few thousand pages. I mean, that definitely ups your ability to go from a rough to a more finished piece. So it's just one of those things. It's experience, man. You know, It really helps. I saw Tony Daniel at Comic-Con. I inked Tony for a few months, and it just happened to fall right during Comic-Con. So it was like I had worked with him for a month or so. San Diego Comic-Con happened, and I was hanging out with him, and he did a sketch for someone, and it was the same thing. He started basically with like part of the face and just kind of drew it out. It was like, I think, a Green Lantern character, but I was really impressed by how proficient he was. But Tony Daniel's another guy. He's been working professionally for probably 25 years. He's done, if he does 150 pages a year, he's done, 3 to 5,000 pages, and that's light for Tony. Tony generally does monthly work. So these dudes, they've got miles, dudes and dudettes. It can be done. This is really nice. I actually like the blues to purple that he does on this guy. I think it's an interesting lighting effect that his gear gets. It's kind of like a Michael Golden color palette. All right, so we should be wrapping this up here in just a sec. Yeah, very much a Michael Golden feel. I totally agree. Oh, the Crow Quill tutorial. I was like, Crow? Oh, very cool, man. Yeah, Crow Quills are fun. I mean, just try any tool and see if you enjoy it. You never know. I mean, it's I think one thing that I would recommend for people is have your fandom. If you love a certain artist or a certain group of artists, that's great. You don't necessarily have to draw like them or use the same tools as them to excel. You know what I mean? Enjoy the work that they do, but find what works best for you and be the best you that you can be, because that's definitely more exciting than just seeing someone who is sort of like a less than version of another artist. You know what I mean? Your best influences will just be things that you've picked up along the way from anywhere. It's funny because a weird example that popped into my mind was I was at the San Diego Zoo and I bought a puzzle because the art on it was so good, but the person that did the art, it was clearly a pen name, because I searched for them online and I couldn't find anything that this person had done that was art, not even the puzzle. But it was a great drawing, and that's just some random thing that I saw that now could potentially be, have an impact on something that I do. If I ever have to draw animals, I might think of that piece and sort of have a little bit of that flavor. This is great. I actually like the colors on this page. This is nice. Lady's face is funny. Knock, knock, knock. Interesting way to spell knock, in fact. All right, we are almost at the end. Yeah, we're going to have the cover, and then that's going to be it. So, all right, happy holidays to everyone. I'm going to go back into the room. I actually really like this cover. This cover was done later, probably after the book, or this is like a collected edition cover, I think, because this to me almost has the vibe. No, this looks traditional. It was interesting because at one point Jason wasn't filling in the blacks on his pieces, and he would do the blacks digitally, but I think towards the end he might have done even the pieces digitally, but maybe not. I don't know. That's just speculation on my part. I try not to guess on other people's stuff. So let's see. Let me go back. All right, we never had Kelsey. What a shame. What is up, Jay? How are you? Merry Christmas to you too. All right, I'm going to get to work. This one a little bit longer than I thought it would, but thank you guys all for tuning in. Thank you for supporting my YouTube channel. Thanks for being patient with Blaster Kid. It's just, like I said, I mean, the most brutally honest thing that I can say is just financially, I needed to have some money saved up or some way to live for like 3 to 6 months. While I'm working on it. So it was either stay inking or take this heavy metal job. So the heavy metal job in a way sort of did sideline me, but it's better because at least I'm drawing. Are you killing $1 Patreon? Yeah, I am. It's going to $3. I'll lose people doing it, but it's just it'll encourage me to work harder on Patreon. It's sometimes feels more like an obligation, which it didn't used to, but it's like Yeah, it's work, you know. Creating videos is work. Doing the lessons and reviews is a lot of work. I mean, basically what I do now is Monday is completely devoted to Patreon. I record videos, I do the reviews, and I do the lessons, but it's a lot of work. It really is. So, you know, it was either raise the price or just not do Patreon, and we put too much work into it. So $3, people can hop in and out. You don't have to do it every month. You know what I mean? Do it, take a month or two off, come back, whatever, you know. But it'll make it worth my while because it was starting to teeter on more time than you know, value. So all right, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the super chats, and I'll be back with the hot takes probably on the 26th or 27th. And yeah, thank you, King Crow. I appreciate it. And Gold Gauntlet Comics. Hey-o. What is up, Hans? He's sending emojis that I can't see on my computer, but maybe. Oh, I can on my iPad. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Say goodbye to my cat. That's the Buckethead cat. Or wait, is it? No, that's not Buckethead cat. All right, talk to you later. Hopefully Kelsey is okay. We will see. But all right, talk to you guys later. Bye.